welcome to Cooking with Quinoa. I'm Bethany Perry, and those of you who I'm making this video specifically for, you already know that. So welcome to your coaching session tonight. I am going to be making a meal, or two meals actually, that's cook once, eat twice. We're going to be using quinoa tonight, and it's called a Mediterranean quinoa. And we'll start there, and then the second recipe we're going to make is for your breakfast. And this meal, while it can be eaten for lunch or dinner, the breakfast, obviously, you'll be able to get up in the morning and it'll be all ready for you, nice and pretty in the fridge. So I prepared the quinoa already. I've used a rainbow quinoa. This is black and red and white quinoa. If you've never tried quinoa, I would start with the white. It has a softer flavor. The red is a little bit sweeter and the black is much more nutty. So quinoa is actually a seed, and it originates from Bolivia. It's a cousin to, or a sister to, Swiss chard, spinach, and beets. No wonder I like it. So this is a little bit warm, and traditionally this is exactly how I make the dish. So once the quinoa is warm, while I'm preparing everything that's going to go in it, I just stick it in the freezer. And actually, quinoa can be frozen once you make it. So if you want to make a big batch, maybe it won't go in here. If you want to make a big batch of quinoa, double your batch when you're cooking so that you don't have to do it again. You can totally do that. Quinoa does not take long. The ratio of water to quinoa is just like rice. It's like 1 cup of quinoa, 2 cups of water. Cooks pretty quickly, never more than 15 minutes. You kind of want to watch it. The other thing to recognize about quinoa when you're cooking it, sometimes and not always, but sometimes it can be a little bit bitter, and that has to do with the exterior of the seed. And so what you can do is you can just measure out your quinoa. If you put it like in a 2-cup measuring cup, add water and let it soak, and then rinse the water out, and you'll get some of the bitterness out of the seed. So to begin, I've started preparing. I've got a mix of Mediterranean olives, but the recipe calls for Kalamata olives. And the really cool thing is if you don't like olives, you just ditch them. Now, I happen to love olives, so I put in extra. I did these ahead of time because I bought olives that had pits in them on accident. So I didn't really want to have you watch me destroy the olives, but they can be easily cut when they don't have a pit. Now, I've got red onion here, and I'm going to cut it a little bit smaller. And red onion, so those of you who don't like onions, you don't have to add onions because these are not going to be cooked. But red onions add a really nice flavor to the quinoa, and I like the onions small. So you can continue to cut, or you can chop them if you want in a food processor. Some of this can be done a lot faster if you have a food processor. I really enjoy putting love into my food, and I enjoy just experiencing the food and the smells of each ingredient. What we're going to do next is I'm going to cut some tomatoes and some cucumbers. I'll start with the cucumber. So there's cucumber that's going to go in here too. Now I've pre-sliced half of this. This is an English cucumber, and you just put in as much as you like. And when I cut it, I just slice it here. And now my son, my son is an executive chef, and he would be choking if he saw me cut. I hide my thumb. Just so you know, if you're chopping fast, hide your thumb, because when you stick your thumb out, really easy to cut your thumb. And who taught me that? My son, right after I cut my thumb. So you can cut these as big or as small as you enjoy. If you're making it for company, the smaller is always nicer. However, it's a lot easier to keep them a little bit bigger because it doesn't take as long. A lot depends on your time and what you want to do. So this is probably enough, and if it's not, you can always add more. I don't like to cut too much if I don't need it. I don't want it all cut up because it goes bad a lot faster. So I'm going to slide the cucumbers over, and I'm going to start cutting the tomatoes. And then, now the other thing that this dish has in it is cilantro. You can use parsley. Not everybody likes cilantro. And if you're somebody who doesn't like cilantro, I forgot to introduce to you that I have my friend Alicia here. She is filming this. So welcome, Alicia. She may comment and ask some questions. And of course, my dog is going to start making noise in the background because you guys already know they seem to know when I'm talking with you. But if you don't like cilantro, you can replace parsley or you can leave it out. If cilantro tastes like soap to you, it's hereditary. So most people who don't like it say, oh, it tastes like soap. And the reason they don't like it is because it does taste like soap, and that's the way their genetics are. So with the tomatoes, you can cut them any way you want. You can use a regular large size tomato. When I use the large ones, I will take the seeds out, but I just cut them in half and then in half again. You can do whatever you like. And I use organic. Even in the quinoa, it costs a little bit more, but your health is worth it because pay now or pay later, right? So I know I'm going to need more tomatoes than this, so I'm going to cut up a few more. The other delicious thing that goes with this, and actually when I eat it, I take hummus and I make my own hummus. If you guys want the recipe, I can certainly send you the recipe, or I can do another video with creating it. I just didn't want to take your whole evening for me to do that. But I love this dish with the hummus mixed in. So I'll take a tablespoon or two of the hummus and just, oh my gosh, it's so good. I'm just going to cut a couple more of these. And then I'm going to kind of teach you as best as I'm able how to work with cilantro. It's not the easiest or the most fun, but it's not that bad. Besides, it's green, right? It's something green. And again, any of these ingredients, if you don't like them, if you would rather have, you know, a Vidalia onion, you want a sweet onion, that's okay, have that. So what I do with the cilantro is this, usually they come pretty large, right? This is a pretty large bunch. So I split the bunch up, and cilantro, you want the leaves. And what happens when we try to separate the leaves, if you look at how one stem grows, it's very tedious if you just try to do this one at a time. And you can do that. But a nicer way to do it, and actually thank you, Patty, because Patty reiterated this to me today when she stopped over, you can just pull the top part off and get rid of that. Now, I'm finicky. I would not throw away all these leaves. I would go back and pull them out. For purposes of this video, I'm not going to do that. And you're going to see if there's any big stems that are left in here, and you can just sort of pull them out. But when you cut this small enough, it's not going to matter. Now, again, food processor, mini chopper. I have one, and often I will use a mini chopper with cilantro. But it smells so good. So, Alicia, I got to ask you, you don't like cilantro. Do you like the smell of it?
It's not too bad. It's okay. The smell is nice.
I'm just curious because I've never asked anybody that doesn't like it if they also. The other thing to know, and this is off the topic of this, but even people who like foods that are hot and spicy, that also is hereditary. So if you're
now
somebody,
that I like.
It's, yeah, me too. If you're one of those who like, I don't like hot stuff, that's a hereditary thing. And sometimes you don't know you like hot things. I grew up in a family where my mom was like a really bland cook. Sorry, Mom, if you're watching. She didn't use a lot of spice in anything, probably because she had a bunch of us to make happy. But when I discovered hot sauce, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. And it was probably pretty mild. And now I can take it really hot. And all of my brothers love hot sauce. My sister, and my mom either. So it's truly hereditary. Now, what I'm doing with the cilantro, much like a chiffonade, when you take basil leaves or mint leaves, which also belong in this. However, there wasn't any mint, so we're just going to go without it. Sorry, you guys. I just sort of roll the leaves so that I have like a pie. I guess like if you were rolling tobacco. Not that I've ever done that. Then you just cut like this. So it gets smaller faster. And then, so my thumb's in the way. And then I turn it and I go the other way. So I get the pieces nice and small. And if there's any, really big chunk, you can pull it out of the stem. Otherwise, you've got your cilantro, and it goes a lot faster. And I find that when I use the chopper, the mini chopper, Missy Moo, shh, shh, shh. When I use the mini chopper, it gets a little wet and mushy. Excuse me. Miss. Shh. My dogs like to be in the video. So, okay. Now I'm going to take the quinoa out of the freezer. And it cools really quickly. And I'm just going to stir it. And I personally really like the mix of the colors in the quinoa, which is why I choose it. And this has just got a little bit of pepper in here. And pepper to taste, salt to taste. I tend to like salt. Now this is Himalayan sea salt. If you don't know about salt, you want to make sure that the salt that you are purchasing and using is salt that has color, whether it's Celtic salt, so it'll be gray, black salt. Himalayan sea salt is pink. It's a really pretty color. And a lot of people will say, well, what about iodine? We need iodine. There's actually very little iodine in table salt. It's not what stops goiters, though I just recommend taking an iodine supplement. It's great for the thyroid, and all of us need that. So I'm just going to mix this in, the salt and pepper, and then I've got, this is a 1/4 cup of olive oil. The recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup, which you guys will all get the recipe. I like to start with less. Less is always more. You can always add. If you add too much of something, it's not very good, right? And you don't want oily quinoa. So once you're here, once you're in this place, you can add as you like. I really like to, so I always use lime. There's also, if you don't want to buy a lime or worry about a lime, I don't dare want you to see my fridge, but you can get pure, this is pure organic lime juice. So if you don't have a lime or you can't run to the store, having this on hand is really it's a great tool. So we're going to just take the cucumbers and we're going to throw them in, throw the tomatoes in, and then we're going to stir that in. Oh, yum. Now some of you may not like the vegetables this chunky. I like stuff chunky. That's just my personal preference. When I have company, I try to cut them a little bit smaller than I personally like. And while there's measurements for everything, I really like to do things by sight and by taste, because what's the fun in making something if you don't get to taste it? And the other thing too, with the onions, everybody knows who likes onions that some onions are stronger than others, right? And the other thing to know is some limes are stronger than others. One time I made this dish for my mom. I was so excited to make it for her, and the lime, I just used the normal amount. It was like pucker power. I felt so bad, but it was still good. We ate it. So I'm just going to squirt a little bit of lime, and you can take a spoon to the lime. I don't have a true spoon, but you can just squeeze it, because limes tend to be a little bit hard to juice if you don't have a little juicer and you want to do it by hand. And you don't have to do it by hand. You can also use essential oils, and just one little drop will do you. And now as I mix this, isn't that beautiful? The rainbow quinoa is so pretty. And now I'm going to add the olives. They're my favorite, because they also add a salty flavor. So you don't have to add as much salt. Now the other thing is, some people, if you don't eat dairy, you can just leave the dairy out. Many of us don't eat dairy. I'm going to add the cilantro. Oh, it's so pretty. And now we have some nice green in here. And then you mix that up. It's truly simple. The biggest amount of time is cutting, and you saw it really didn't take that long. I only did a little bit ahead of time. And then once we're here, if you like dairy, what I do, especially when I have company, I keep the dairy on the side. Not only if somebody doesn't want it, but it's nicer on the side. Just add it to your dish, because it just doesn't get soggy, because it's feta. Okay? And then I'll just put a little bit in this bowl. And see, this is how I like it. Now, this is not homemade hummus. Sorry. So, see, you can buy some too. There's actually, Alicia, you were telling me there's pre-made quinoa at the store?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I was asking, can you use that instead of making it if you're wanting to
yeah, absolutely.
cut corners?
Anytime you need to cut corners, like, I don't know about chopped cucumbers. They're probably pretty wet that they don't pre-cut. But it's really not that much to cut this. And when you put love into your food, when you love what you're doing, and including those of you who don't like to cook, if you start thinking, this is nourishing me. These are plants that someone lovingly grew, and the plants lovingly grew to nourish our bodies, and someone harvested them, took care of them while they were harvesting, put them on a truck or drove them to the store, however they got to where I purchased them, and then I get to interact with the food, and all the people that also interacted with this food have something to say about what's going in my body. So it's pretty cool when you think about it on an energetic level. So this is, I'm going to have, let me just grab a spoon. This is it. I mean, this is a beautiful dinner. It's a beautiful lunch, and actually, honestly, I really like it for breakfast. Oh my God, it's delicious. Doesn't need any more salt than this. So I'm going to clear this away, and I'm going to bring breakfast over.
So while you're doing that, can you tell me a little bit about the benefits of the other ingredients that you've put into the quinoa?
Yeah, so tomatoes are amazing. They have lycopene in them. It's the red. It's an antioxidant. Quinoa also has magnesium, which most women need extra of. And to be honest, in this moment, I'm not remembering what the cilantro and the red onion does, but I will get back to you on that. I think I sort of segued with the salt, and what I want you to know about salt is when it doesn't come with color, it's been bleached, number one. I don't know about you, but I don't really care to eat bleach. And number two, they strip all the nutrients of it when they bleach it. So there's beautiful, look at that color, like it's gorgeous to look at. And there's all kinds of, minerals in sea salt. So get sea salt that has, this is fine enough that it'll fit in your regular salt shaker. It's what I keep in my regular salt shaker, and I just love it. So I'm going to move the green stuff aside.
So what are some other things that you can put in this Mediterranean
that's a great
quinoa?
question. So another thing that you can put in the Mediterranean dish is chickpeas. Because they have a very soft flavor, and that just adds more protein, because chickpeas are very high in protein as well, and they've got amazing benefits. And then you could also, but black beans might taste okay. It would depend on you. If you love black beans, you probably like black beans in them. But I would say chickpeas. I would say you could even do a little bit of spinach if you like spinach. Swiss chard probably, because it's a little bit sweeter. Mm-hmm. So let's say you don't like parsley or cilantro, but you want a little bit of that green color. I would take one leaf of Swiss chard and separate it from the stem, and you can so if the stem is here down the middle, and here's the leaf, just cut like that, and then you'll have the leaf, fold it over, roll it up, and cut it just the same way. It's beautiful and really very, very simple. So now we're going to make a berry breakfast quinoa. So what I've got here is I've got leftover quinoa. It's not leftovers. I made it intentionally. So this is the quinoa that I had already made. And I want to talk a little bit about yogurt. Most of you who are watching this, and you know that I do very little dairy, if any. One of the things about Greek yogurt is it has more probiotics in it. So what do? They help you digest your food. Now, if you want to eliminate dairy, there are, you can get almond yogurt, you can get coconut yogurt. I think they even have cashew yogurt now. The biggest thing to watch with yogurt is the amount of sugar. I was shocked, because I haven't bought yogurt in a while, how much sugar is in yogurt. Now, there's a little bit of natural sugar. This is plain. This happens to be no fat. I usually buy full fat because it's a whole food. They just didn't have it in the brand that I like, because I looked at these little kid yogurts. They're for kids, right? They're marketed for kids, and they have little kids on them. Little teeny 4-ounce yogurt, 2 1/4 teaspoons, and 4 ounces of sugar. Now some of that is from the fruit. It's natural sugar, and even this yogurt has sugar in it, and that nothing's been added. I can actually read to you the ingredients. The kind that I recommend is Fage, F-A-G-E.
Faye.
Is that how you say it?
Faye. Yeah.
Faye. Okay. I never know how. So this has got skim milk, live active yogurt cultures, and that's it. And this has 18 grams of protein in 6 ounces. That's great. And it has, where is it? 5 grams of sugar. So I believe 4 grams is a quarter teaspoon. I think that's right. I might be wrong. I always forget that one. But it's, yeah, so it's good. It's a good thing to know. I always have to re-look it up, and it's okay if you don't remember it. Look it up. That's what Google is for. Aren't you glad we don't have to keep all these little details in our head? But the thing is when we know how much sugar we're ingesting, sugar is inflammatory to the body. Now, when it's with fruit, a lot of people say, well, what about fruit? Well, fruit has the fiber with it, and that fiber helps break it down. So the body receives it very differently, and the body knows that it's coming from a true plant. The body is much wiser than we are. So what I've got here is I've got, I'm going to grab one thing out of the fridge. I've got the yogurt. This is just 2 containers of yogurt, and this is almond milk. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about almond milk. Whenever you buy almond milk or rice milk or whatever, and I can never say this either, but carrageenan, I think, you want it to not have carrageenan in it. There's some people say carrageenan is fine, and others say not so much. It's inflammatory at the very least. Some say that it causes cancer. While the jury is out, I say go without. Why have it? Especially when there's a brand that doesn't have it in it, and this is a really nice brand. I'm not a big almond milk person, but it's a nice brand. You can put it in your smoothies. You can drink it instead of milk. Anything that you use milk for, you can use this.
Can you find it in the refrigerated section or it?
Yeah, this was actually at Kroger.
Okay.
You don't even have to go to a specialty store. Kroger carries it, at least in my neck of the woods. So I'm just going to mix this up. Fork would probably be better. Whoops. And then I'm going to add a little cinnamon. Now, another thing about cinnamon, which you might not know, many people know that it's known to help balance blood sugar, but there are 2 different kinds of cinnamon. One is from Ceylon, if that's how you say it.
Ceylon?
Ceylon, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. This is a better cinnamon. It's better for you. It comes from that outer bark of the tree instead of the inner bark, and it actually works better with your blood sugar. And you can cinnamon to taste. Okay, you don't have to put as much as I do in it. And then what you're going to do is we're going to take about 4 teaspoons, I think. I have to double check the recipe. I'm sorry, because I haven't made this for a while. Yeah, 4 teaspoons of chia seeds. Now, chia seeds, really good, heart healthy. Now, again, a seed, right? And it's great for the heart. It's like taking your fish oil, but doing it with a plant. And so I'm just going to reuse this that had pepper in it. And what happens with chia seeds is it absorbs, and what's great about it, I don't know if that was 3 or 4, whatever. It absorbs, and it absorbs the moisture and puffs it out, and when you eat it, not only is it delicious, it fills you up. And so with the yogurt and the chia seeds in the morning, and then some quinoa, you've got your protein, you've got your healthy fat, you've got your, DHEA. Yeah, no, not DHEA. Sorry, that's what I'm thinking. It's your the omega-3s. There we go. And then we've got nuts and we've got berries. And so a nice way to serve yourself. Now you may have different dishes, but I really like to make my food pretty why? Because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel pretty. So this is actually 4 servings, but I'm gonna just put it in here. We're just gonna do 2. And as you put this in, you can do it to your own liking. But it's super fun. I can smell that cinnamon. And what's really great is, while you could have it for dessert, you'd be too full, I think, at night. What's really great is when you wake up in the morning and you open the fridge and you don't have to cook anything. And you're like, oh, and it's so pretty besides. So then what we do is we just take the quinoa and we put the quinoa on top. So now you've got your beautiful pure plant protein. Oops. And again, you can add as much as you like. I have a recipe with all the specifics. I'm not really one to, I sort of go by what it looks like, but it's pretty on target. And now I've got some nuts here. You can toast the nuts, so you can just put them on a pan and toast them. But I don't like to toast them. I prefer them raw. And I have cashews and macadamia nuts. You can use any nut blend that you like. They're just great in the morning. And again, the brain needs fat. The brain wants to have fat. So here is this, and then you add any berry you like, or fruit. You could cut up peaches and put peaches on top. Watermelon would be a little bit watery. However, the chia seeds will absorb it. So even watermelon would be good. But watermelon uncovered and cut doesn't last as long. But look how pretty this is. Imagine waking up to this. You just put a cover on top of it. Imagine waking up to that in the morning. How long did this take, right? You've got your dinner, you've got your breakfast, and my guess is you'll have some lunch. Protein, healthy fats, all plant-based. Awesome. Do you have any questions?
So as far as the fruit, do you recommend also organic for fruit?
I do, particularly berries, because especially blueberries. A lot of people think, oh, it doesn't go through the skin of a blueberry because there's more skin than, raspberries and strawberries. There's really no skin to take off. But what happens with blueberries, when they spray the berries, the toxins go inside the skin, so you can't wash it off. I'll go on a mini fruit tangent as far as organic versus non-organic. There is a list of, the top 10/12/15 clean versus dirty fruits. You can always wash them, but I tend to buy organic. When you're at this, I know most of you know, I have said this before, but when you're at a restaurant, everybody wants lemon in their water, right? So what do? We've got non-organic lemons. We squeeze the juice, which is fine. They've got a thick skin. The juice is pretty okay in a lemon. But then what do? We drop the lemon in the water. And what happens, just like it would with a lime, all those toxins are in the skin. And you just stuck it in your water, and the skin opens up, and all those toxins release, and you drink them. So please, 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 if you want to have lemon in your water, squeeze it, or take, I don't have any out, but take doTERRA or Young Living. They both are excellent. I sell doTERRA, but they're both great oils. They're ingestible oils. And just one little drop will do you if you like lemon in your water. So please do not use restaurant lemon or lime and put it in your drink. Whether it has alcohol or not, the alcohol will not kill the toxins. So here's your breakfast. We have our breakfast and our luncheon and our dinner. And I think any other fruit questions? Like, are we good?
I can think of some replacements like papaya.
Oh, papaya would be great. Now, not everybody loves papaya, but also what I really like is mango and strawberries mixed together and a little pineapple. It's really good. You can make any fruit blend. That's the really fun thing about when you start working with your food and interacting with that which you're nourishing your mind, body, heart, and soul. This is your future. What you eat today is who you are becoming. So nourish yourself and enjoy it. Get somebody to come over and video you so that you can talk about it and experience it together afterwards, because that's what Alicia and I are going to do. We're going to have some delicious food. So I want to, those of you who are in this coaching session, you probably get by now that I'm going to probably post this on YouTube after you've had an opportunity to see it. I'll make sure that you get the recipes, and if you have any questions, you can post and ask me. I can't wait to see you when I get back in another week. All right? To your health, many blessings.